Hi everyone and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. Today we are going to be making this adorable teddy bear on the moon cake topper, perfect for your baby shower cakes or even christening cakes. Now I've used very limited equipment to make this. I've actually just used basic shapes. So if you are new to baking, this is quite a good one to start off with. Or maybe you just want to keep the kids occupied and give them something fun to make. As always, I guide you through everything step by step in this very detailed tutorial. Happy baking everyone, and let's make a start. Start by taking some modelling paste and colouring it yellow. You will only need a small amount, and if you don't have any modelling paste in the house, just add 1 teaspoon of phthalo powder to 250 grams of fondant and you will have your own homemade modelling paste. Dust down your work surface with some icing sugar and start by rolling the modelling paste first of all into a long sausage shape. You need the central part to be a lot thicker than both of the ends. Your aim is to get the shape of a banana by the end of this, and as you are rolling it, gently bend it into place. We will then be adding a few details before allowing this to set rock hard. Taking a sharp knife, I start by cutting directly into my moon shape in order to create a mouth. Take your time with this and make sure it's as neat as possible. Taking a ball tool, all I do now is simply add a few indentations to the moon. I then flip this over and repeat this process on the other side. This part is not essential, so don't worry if you don't have any edible dust powders. But if you do, if you can find one that will suit the colour of the moon, if you just use a little bit of kitchen roll first, and then I just add it to those indentations that I created with the ball tool. It's a simple process, but it just adds that perfect finishing touch and a little bit more definition to the beautiful cake topper that you are creating. In order to have a star dangling from the top of the moon, you will need some floral wire. This can be inserted directly into sugarwork. Here I have bent a very small piece of floral wire. The top part will be going directly into the moon, so we need to add this before we allow the moon to actually set overnight. I just push down a very small amount of fondant and using a star plunger cutter, cut this out and place it directly onto the bottom. This can then be placed into our teddy bear moon. In order to add the eyes, just use very simple shapes. So we start with a ball shape of white. We then add some black, another small amount of white just to give the eye a little bit more definition. And finally, I roll out a very, very thin sausage shape just to act like an eyelash, but because it's wrapped around that ball of white fondant that we added right at the beginning, it makes it stand out just a little bit more. You then want to leave this moon to set overnight. We now need to create something to support that lovely moon that you've left to set overnight. So I start by covering a cake drum with some baking paper and just place on there some very soft fondant. This does not have to be modelling paste. Using my finger, I add an indentation so that the moon can be added very easily. Then simply place the moon directly on there and add a small amount of edible glue. Then simply roll out more balls, but a lot smaller, and stick this directly onto that support underneath the moon so it looks like a cloud. In order to start making the teddy, we're going to do the feet first. So taking 2 small balls of fondant and simply pushing them in at one end, just slot gently under the moon shape is all you need to do. Using a ball tool, I then just add an indentation into the end of each of our teddy bear's foot. Now remember, I'm choosing to do my teddy bear blue, but it can be any colour of your choice. Simply place these directly under the base of the moon. Taking some more fondant, this time enough for the teddy bear's body, start by rolling a bowl shape, which you then want to roll into a cone. Now, we want this body to be leaning forward onto the actual moon where we will be adding edible glue. So as you can see here, I just distort the shape slightly with my fingers. I then place it into position and use a small amount of edible glue to secure it into place. Again, everything's shaped by hand, so for the arm you want to take a small amount of fondant and roll it into a cone shape. Then using a ball tool, I simply just place that on the end just to add a small indentation. Using some edible glue, this is placed on the side of the teddy bear's body and the rest of the arm is laid against the top of the moon. Using a simple ball shape and some edible glue, add your teddy bear's head. Here I started with a small amount of blue fondant. I place an indentation in there using my ball tool and add the small amount of white. Cut this in half and we have our teddy bear's ears. They really are as easy as that. Place this directly on your teddy bear with either a small amount of edible glue or cooled down boiled water. Taking a very small amount of white fondant and shaping this into a love heart with your hands, this will be the teddy bear's mouth. Again, using your hands to shape everything, but this time with a very, very tiny piece of blue fondant, I add the teddy bear's nose. You can then add a few indentations to this with a cocktail stick to create a smiley face. For the teddy bear's eyes, you will just need one small ball of white fondant and one very small ball of black, and simply add this directly to your fondant teddy bear figure, just like we did with the eye on the moon. And for the final finishing touch, I use this Karen Davis mould to add a fondant bow. Now, if you make this, I would then leave it overnight to allow all of that fondant work to set. And you will find, as long as you've left it long enough to set and it's lovely and hard, you'll physically be able to pick this topper up and do one of either two things. You can either place it directly onto your cake or a decorated cake drum. Happy baking, everyone. I hope I've helped you again today, and I'll be back soon with more new, completely free content.